Who discovered America? Easy, it was Christopher Columbus, right? Well, no, that would be much too easy. How about the indigenous people who are estimated to have crossed the land bridge from Siberia to Alaska tens of thousands of years ago? Well, yes, technically they were first, but once the land bridge flooded, they became somewhat isolated from the rest of the world, developing their own incredible and diverse cultures before they were victim to the atrocities of colonisation. So by discover in this video, we mean those from the outside world who stumbled across America after it had been settled by its indigenous people. Speaking of definitions, let's establish what we mean by America. We'll be defining it as the continents of North and South America. Okay, definitions dealt with. Let's get started. Back to Columbus. Although many consider him the discoverer of America, he really wasn't. That's not to say he didn't sail the Atlantic from Spain and discover a vast new land, just that he wasn't the first to do so. For those not familiar with the story, Columbus was an Italian explorer in the late 15th century who wanted to establish new trade routes with Asia. Columbus believed it would be quicker sailing west to Asia rather than east. In 1492, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand of a recently unified Spain agreed to fund his voyage, and so off he set with 3 Spanish ships. His mistake being that he underestimated how big the Earth really is, and calculated that East Asia must be approximately where North America sits. 2 months after setting off, the expedition spotted land, probably the Watling Islands. Shortly after, land was spotted again, this time Cuba, although they thought it was China. In December 1492, they landed on the island of Hispaniola, this time mistaking it for Japan. After establishing a colony and looting the land, Columbus returned to Spain a hero and was funded for 2 more voyages. On the 3rd voyage, in August 1498, he finally made landfall on mainland South America, modern-day Venezuela to be exact. It's at this point old Columbus realised the vastness of the land he stood on and thought maybe he'd found a new continent. Quite the discovery, even if it was accidental. His voyages proved to be one of the key catalysts for Europeans moving west to their new world, which is probably why he is often attributed the discovery. Also, each of Columbus's voyages are well documented, making it very easy for historians to validate the discovery. But we said it wasn't him, so who could it have been? One theory is that a Chinese explorer, Admiral Zheng He, got there 70 years earlier. Zheng He was commissioned by the Ming Emperor Zhu Di to undertake 7 treasure voyages in 1405. This much we do know to be true. Large granite carvings were left across the east coast of Africa and the Persian Gulf as calling cards that he had been there. Some people believe he also reached America. Evidence for this is circumstantial at best though, as later Ming emperors rather rudely destroyed most of the records. The primary source of these voyages reaching America is a map allegedly produced in 1418 depicting the Americas. It turns out though that this map is riddled with anachronisms, making its legitimacy quite questionable. The argument for Zheng He's discovery is mainly linked to a single book. This book references the existence of Chinese anchors and pottery found off the coast of California, as well as DNA and linguistic evidence present in Native American culture. These claims though are not backed up beyond the author citing unnamed local experts. We aren't convinced that Zheng He managed to make it to the Americas. But if it is true, it would mean he beat Columbus by almost 71 years. Even if Zheng He did make it there first, Columbus was still the first European, right? No again. That honour goes to Leif Erikson, Viking. Leif Erikson followed in his father's footsteps, adventuring ever westward. He is said to have set sail from Greenland and reached modern-day Canada in the late 10th century. Erikson and the lads built temporary settlements in the place they called Vinland, because of the grapevines. Archaeological sites uncovered in the 1960s and again in 2015 have confirmed the settlements in Newfoundland, Canada. So it looks like the Vikings really did beat Columbus to America, but they didn't settle down there for long. They were likely hostile towards the native people and then found themselves greatly outnumbered. The Vikings did return for trade, but never settled. So Leif Erikson was the first person to discover America. Unless that is, a plucky Irish monk got there in the 5th century. St. Brendan supposedly sailed to North America in a simple boat called a carrack. Okay, so this story is more likely myth than fact. The first account of St. Brendan's journey wasn't even written until 300 years after his death, and no other evidence has ever been found. One thing is for sure though, Christopher Columbus was not the first person to discover America. That said, his voyages definitely had the most historical significance as it opened up the new continents to Europe during an age of exploration. It's also important to acknowledge the darker side of many colonial explorers. To learn from history, we must accept its uncomfortable truths. We learned a lot of fascinating things researching these world explorers. Of course, we couldn't fit everything we wanted into this video. We encourage you to learn more in your own research, and let us know in the comments which facts you think we should have included.